This isn't vengeance. These are the consequences. The saw recoiled and tore into my palm, skin parting like wet tissue. Blood beaded and fell onto the cedar boards I'd been shaping for the Hendersons' pergola, darkening the grain. I wrapped the wound in an old rag and kept going. Pain was just another line item in the day's work. My phone buzzed on the bench. Another message from Mrs. Henderson. Found someone faster online. Canceling project. Sorry. 15 years crafting custom decks in Charlotte, and now every soccer mom with a smartphone thought she could click and replace me. I stared at the unfinished pergola pieces, doing the math on lost materials. The bandage was already soaked through. "Dad, what's with you?" My son Tyler called from the garage entry. He was 9, sharp like his mother used to be before boredom swallowed her interest in anything that wasn't her image. "It's just a scratch, buddy. Tell your mom I'll be in for dinner in 20. Tyler slipped back inside. Through the kitchen window I watched Melody pace, phone to her ear, hands flying like she always did when she was mid-rant of her precious mommy group, the club that had become her whole life these past 6 months. I cleaned up and went inside. Melody stood by the sink, still talking. "No, Tracy. The spa retreat is exactly what I need for my mental health," she told someone, twisting a highlighted strand between her fingers. "Some women just need more self-care than others." She hung up and turned to me with that Instagram-ready smile. "Evan, honey, I'm heading away this weekend. A girls' retreat at that new place in Asheville. Tracy organized the whole thing for the mommy group." I nodded, rewrapping my cut hand tighter. "When are you leaving?" "Tomorrow morning. I'll be back Sunday night. It's about empowerment and finding yourself." She touched my arm lightly. "You understand, right? I've been feeling so trapped lately." That night I lay in bed hearing her pack designer outfits for a mental health getaway, heels that looked ridiculous for hiking, lingerie tucked in with empowerment written all over it. The numbers didn't tally, but I'd learned not to voice the inconsistencies. She pulled out in the white SUV Saturday morning, kissed my cheek, promised to text. I spent the day with Tyler, teaching him to sand a scrapboard. He'd inherited steady hands, like I once had. Sunday night she came back glowing. When I hugged her the SUV smelled off, not mountain air or spa eucalyptus, but hotel soap and a cologne that wasn't mine. The mommy group consumed Melody like a fever. Every conversation began and ended with Tracy Ellison and her circle of suburban queens. Brunches at overpriced cafes, coordinated athleisure shopping, weekend getaways that seemed to happen on repeat. "Tracy says we need to invest in ourselves," Melody announced over breakfast, scrolling on her phone. "She's planning a wellness seminar next weekend. Only $50 a person." I buttered Tyler's toast and kept my mouth shut. 50 here, 100 there. The credit card bills read like chapters of Melody's self-discovery saga. That Tuesday, while Tyler played Xbox, I sorted our finances. Credit card alerts had stacked in my inbox. Groceries, gas, school supplies, routine. Then I froze. PayPal payment to Blue Ridge Luxury Suites, $347.89. Note, "Thanks for last night, EXO." My hands went cold. I clicked the link and found a boutique hotel's booking page. Couples packages, champagne, rose petals. When Melody came back from lunch with the girls, I waited in the kitchen. "How was Tracy?" I asked casually. "Oh, you know, Tracy, always full of wisdom about living your best life." She grabbed a bottle from the fridge. "We're planning another retreat next month. Something really special this time." I showed her the PayPal screenshot. Her face drained, then flushed. "That was for all of us," she stammered. The group split the cost of a luxury suite. For $347 each. "Evan, why are you interrogating me? I'm allowed to spend on myself." Her voice climbed into that frantic pitch she used when caught off guard. "Do you know how hard it is being a stay-at-home mom? How invisible I feel." I took a screenshot and closed my phone. I'm just trying to make sense of the numbers. That night I set up a receipts folder on my phone. Installing a dash cam in Melody's SUV. Next month. Something really special this time. I showed her the PayPal screenshot. Her face drained, then flushed. "That was for all of us," she stammered. The group split the cost of a luxury suite. For $347 each. "Evan, Why are you interrogating me? I'm allowed to spend on myself. Her voice climbed into that frantic pitch she used when caught off guard. Do you know how hard it is being a stay-at-home mom? How invisible I feel. I took a screenshot and closed my phone. I'm just trying to make sense of the numbers. That night I set up a receipts folder on my phone. Installing a dashcam in Melody's SUV took 5 minutes. Modern tech made surveillance almost embarrassingly simple. A tiny GPS tracker slipped under the dash, uploaded locations to an app on my phone. She never noticed it. I told myself I might be paranoid. Maybe there was an innocent explanation. Maybe Tracy's group really did book $300 suites for sisterhood bonding. But paranoia and preparation often look the same. On Friday morning, Melody announced another retreat. Tracy found this incredible place. It's exclusive. I probably won't have service, so don't worry if you don't hear from me. Where is it? It's a surprise. Part of the whole disconnect experience. She kissed Tyler and grabbed her overnight bag. See you Sunday evening. From my app, one watched her drive across town, not toward Asheville, but to a familiar patch of Charlotte. The GPS dot stopped at 412 Elm Street, Dr. Jonas Ellison's dental practice. Jonas Ellison, Tracy's husband, the man who smiled too much at barbecues and lingered near other people's wives. My partner Daryl noticed things without needing to be asked. Ex-military, a decade in for aggravated assault, loyal as a dog once he chose you. I handed him Jonas's address and $200 in cash. I just want to know who she's spending time with, I said. He asked how detailed. Pictures, times, plates, whatever you can get without getting arrested. On Sunday night, he handed me a manila envelope. Your wife ain't at no women's retreat, Evan. The photos confirmed what my gut had long suspected. Melody and Jonas arriving at Blue Ridge Luxury Suites at 2:47 p.m. Saturday. Jonas carrying her bag. Them kissing in the hotel lot at 11:23 a.m. Sunday before she drove home. The last shot showed Jonas's hand on her backside as they walked toward the entrance. I sat in my truck outside Tyler's soccer practice, staring at the collapse of my marriage in high definition. Other dads traded lawn care tips and weekend plans while my world crumbled on a phone screen. When Tyler hopped into the truck, sweaty and grinning, I realized this wasn't just about me anymore. It was about him, keeping his life steady when everything else went under. Dad, you okay? You look weird. Just tired, buddy. Let's go home. That night I began to plan. Tracy adored being the center of attention, organizing block parties, school fundraisers, treating the neighborhood like her stage. So when she announced a summer family picnic at Beach Creek Park, every family felt obliged to attend. It'll be so fun, Melody cooed at breakfast. Tracy rented the pavilion with a projector set up for outdoor movies. All the kids will love it. I sipped coffee and watched her practice enthusiasm. What time should we be there? I asked. She twisted her wedding ring. A new nervous habit. Tracy thought it might be better as a moms and kids event. You know how the dads always cluster and ignore everyone. I buttered toast deliberately. So I'm not invited? It's not that you're not invited. Tracy just thought the dynamic would be better with only moms and kids. More intimate conversations about parenting, she said. Tyler looked up. Can Dad come watch the movie at least? Melody's smile looked stapled on. We'll see, sweetie. I spent the week making my own arrangements. Called in Rick, who ran AV setups for corporate gigs. Borrowed equipment, copied everything in my receipts folder, organized it by date. The night before the picnic, Melody was unusually loving. Cooked my favorite, uncorked a bottle of wine, sat close on the couch while we watched TV. I love you, she said, head on my shoulder. I know I've been distant, but I love our family. I kissed her hair. I love you too. Some lies are easier to say than truths. Saturday morning she slipped into a new sundress that probably cost more than my truck payment. Tyler wore his Pokemon shirt and hauled a backpack of toys. You sure you don't mind staying home? She asked, checking makeup in the mirror. I've got work to catch up on. I watched them leave, then loaded my truck with Rick's gear. Beach Creek Park buzzed by 3. Kids darting among picnic tables while mothers formed their polished circles. The pavilion was decked in balloons and banners. Summer fun for Charlotte families. Tracy stood by the projector directing like a traffic cop. She saw me immediately. Evan, "I thought you weren't coming," she said with an automatic smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Changed my mind. Wanted Tyler to enjoy the movie." I found Melody spreading a blanket near the front. Tyler was already off playing. I held up Rick's professional HDMI switcher. "This old setup probably doesn't have the best connection," I said. Tracy practically bounced over. "Oh, wonderful." Jonas mentioned the picture looked fuzzy. Jonas showed up as if called, polo shirt and khakis on, the suburban uniform of entitlement. "Evan, didn't expect to see you, buddy," he said, clapping my shoulder like a man convinced of his untouchability. "Figured I'd help with the tech," I said, shaking his hand. I hooked my equipment into their projector system. Rick's switcher let me toggle inputs easily. As afternoon dimmed, families closed ranks on blankets. Tracy asked for attention. "Everyone gather round. Before we start, I want to say a few words about our amazing community," she began. Parents settled down, kids fidgeting. Tyler returned to our blanket and leaned on Melody's shoulder. This was the moment I'd planned for. "We've built something special here," Tracy went on. "A place of trust and support where we raise children in honesty." I opened my phone, linked to the switcher, and started my slideshow. "Families are built on trust," Tracy said. "On knowing people are who they say they are. When that trust breaks, it hurts everyone, especially the kids." I hit play. The first image filled the 12-foot screen. Melody and Jonas kissing in a hotel parking lot, timestamp clear. Someone screamed. Children began to cry. Parents scrambled to shield their kids as more images rolled. PayPal receipts, GPS logs showing Sunday morning visits to Jonas's office, screenshots of messages from Melody's synced iPad. Tracy's speech evaporated. Melody lunged for my phone, but I held it high. "You want to talk about trust?" I asked the crowd. "Let's talk about trust." Jonas moved toward me, face purple with rage. "Turn that off now, you psycho," he spat. I struck him once, clean and hard across the jaw. He folded like wet cement. The slideshow kept going. Hotel bills, more photos, a screenshot of Jonas texting Melody. "Can't wait to taste you again." "Daddy, what's happening?" Tyler tugged my shirt, frightened and confused. I shut the projector and looked down at my son. "We're going home, buddy. Grab your backpack." Melody sobbed, mascara streaking down. "You're humiliating yourself. This is insane." "I'm humiliating myself," I heard myself say. I picked up Tyler's backpack and took his hand. "You did that for me months ago." Tracy knelt beside Jonas, who struggled to sit. Families packed up in stifled silence. As we walked to the truck, I heard Tracy's voice rising behind us. "You lying, in my own neighborhood, with my husband." In the parking lot, parents filmed Tracy chasing Melody across the grass with what looked like a pool noodle. Monday morning I filed for divorce. My lawyer, Sharon Hayes, was sharp and experienced in high-conflict cases. She reviewed the evidence with professional approval. "This is thorough," she said, scrolling through the files. "GPS data, bank records, photos." "When did you start documenting?" 6 weeks ago. "Good instincts." North Carolina allows no-fault divorce, but adultery can still influence property and alimony. She closed the folder. "With this proof we can freeze joint accounts, secure primary custody, and protect your assets." I signed papers while Tyler waited in the reception reading a comic. Through the office window, families walked kids to school. Normal families with normal problems. By noon, Melody's access to our joint accounts was frozen. By 2, she was served divorce papers at her sister's house, where she'd stayed the night. By 4, my phone held 43 missed calls and 87 texts. I blocked her number and picked Tyler up. "Is Mom still mad about yesterday?" he asked. "Mom made some bad choices. That's why she's staying somewhere else for a while." "Are you getting divorced?" 9 years old and already understanding the math. "Yeah, buddy. We are." He was quiet for a while. "Will I still see her?" "Of course. She's still your mom." That night, Melody came to the front door. I watched her pacing on the porch through the security cam I'd installed a week earlier, stamping and sometimes pounding the door. "Evan, please, we need to talk. This is all a misunderstanding." I called the police. They arrived in 20 minutes and escorted her off with a trespass warning. Tyler watched the patrol's lights sweep the yard from his bedroom window. "She looked really sad," he said. "Yes, she did. Do you still love her?" I tucked him in and turned on the nightlight. I love the person I thought she was, but that woman wasn't real. Jonas tried to push back legally. His attorney filed harassment charges, alleging I'd stalked him and invaded his privacy. The district attorney reviewed the file for exactly 4 hours before dismissing the claim. Hard to claim harassment when you're the one carrying on an affair in public places, Sharon told me over coffee, especially when the plaintiff is the one engaged in adultery. But Jonas's real trouble wasn't legal. It was professional. The North Carolina State Board of Dental Examiners viewed using a medical practice as a venue for extramarital affairs very poorly. When I handed their ethics committee my evidence packet, they opened an inquiry within a week. Dr. Jonas Ellison was suspended from practice pending a full review of his professional behavior. I found out when Daryl rang me on Thursday afternoon, laughing so hard he could barely speak. "You need to drive by the Ellison house," he wheezed. "Right now." I found Jonas in Tracy's driveway loading suitcases into his BMW while Tracy stood on the porch screaming. She gripped a garden rake like a weapon, jabbing it toward him every time he stepped closer to the house. 23 years of marriage, she shrieked, with that plastic witch from down the street. Jonas tried to step onto the porch again. Tracy swung the rake, missing his head by inches. "I'm sorry, Tracy. It meant nothing. Nothing. Nothing." She hurled the rake at him like a spear. It hit his windshield and left a spiderweb crack. "Your license is nothing. Your reputation is nothing. Our house is nothing." A crowd of neighbors had gathered to watch. I recognized several families from the picnic. Their kids peered around parked cars for a better view. Jonas saw me and pointed. "This is his fault. He destroyed everything." Tracy turned toward me, mascara streaked in tears on her face. For a moment I thought she might turn her fury on me. Instead she started clapping. "Good," she said, her voice carrying across the yard. "Good for you, Evan. At least somebody in this neighborhood has balls." Other neighbors began to clap too. Jonas's face went from red to purple as the applause spread. He threw his last suitcase into the BMW and peeled out, leaving black tire marks on Tracy's concrete. That evening Tyler and I grilled burgers in the backyard. He was getting better with the spatula, only dropped one patty into the coals. "Why was Mrs. Ellison so angry?" he asked. "Because her husband lied to her. Lying to someone you love is about the worst thing you can do." He flipped a burger successfully. "Is that why you're not angry?" "What do you mean?" "You seem sad, but not angry like Mrs. Ellison." I watched him focus on the grill, tongue poking out in concentration. I think I used up all my anger taking those pictures and planning the next steps. Now I just feel tired and relieved. "Yeah, buddy." And relieved. 3 weeks later, Melody turned up at Tyler's parent-teacher conference. I was in Mrs. Rodriguez's classroom discussing Tyler's reading comprehension when Melody walked in wearing a dress I'd never seen before. She looked thinner, desperation around her eyes. "Sorry I'm late," she said brightly. "Traffic was terrible." Mrs. Rodriguez glanced between us, unsure. "I wasn't expecting both parents tonight. We're working on co-parenting amicably," Melody said, settling into the chair beside me. For Tyler's sake, I pulled a folded document from my jacket and handed it to Mrs. Rodriguez. "This is the current custody order. I have primary custody, and any school decisions need to go through me." Melody's smile faltered. "Evan, that's not necessary. We're both Tyler's parents. According to the state of North Carolina, I'm Tyler's primary guardian. You have supervised visitation rights pending the outcome of the divorce proceedings." Mrs. Rodriguez scanned the paperwork quickly. "I see. Well, Tyler is doing very well in all subjects. His reading level is actually above grade level, and he's shown excellent leadership during group activities." "That's wonderful to hear," I said. Melody leaned in. "Has he seemed upset lately? Any behavioral changes?" "He's been a little quieter than usual, but that's understandable with the family transition. Children are remarkably resilient." I stood. "Thank you for your time, Mrs. Rodriguez. Tyler's lucky to have such a dedicated teacher." Melody followed me into the hallway. "Evan, please. We need to talk about this situation." "No, we don't. All communication goes through the lawyers now. This is ridiculous. I made a mistake, but that doesn't make me a bad mother. I stopped and turned to face her. You spent 6 months lying to our son about where you were going every weekend. You used our joint credit card to pay for hotel rooms with another man. You looked Tyler in the eye and lied about mom retreats and female empowerment while you were sleeping with your friend's husband. She began to cry. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. Jonas said he was going to leave Tracy anyway. We were going to be together. And where's Jonas now? Her tears came harder. He won't return my calls. He says it's too complicated now that everyone knows. Turns out it's easier to sneak around than to actually commit to something real. I lost everything, Evan. My friends, my reputation, my marriage. Doesn't that count for something? I walked toward the exit. It counts as consequences. In the parking lot, I watched her try to start her SUV. The engine turned over but refused to catch. She tried and tried, flooding it. I drove past without stopping. Melody's social exile was swift and complete. The neighborhood mommy group collapsed after the picnic, and individual members made their feelings clear. She was blocked from the community Facebook page. Invitations to school events went unanswered. In the grocery store, other mothers literally turned away when she approached. I learned all this from Tyler, who reported on his visits like a war correspondent from a disaster zone. Mom cried during the whole movie, he said after a supervised mall visit. And she kept buying me stuff I didn't want. What kind of stuff? Expensive toys. Like she thought I'd be happier if she spent more money. He picked at his sandwich. It was weird. Melody had moved into a furnished apartment across town, the kind that took weekly payments and asked few questions. Her credit cards were maxed, her savings drained by legal fees, and her job prospects dimmed because the scandal had become neighborhood legend. She applied for a job at Little Angels Daycare. Tyler reported after another visit. But Mrs. Patterson owns that place and she was at the picnic. Did she get the job? Mom said Mrs. Patterson told her they needed someone with better character references. The divorce proceeded with machine-like precision. Sharon had arranged everything to protect Tyler and ensure Melody couldn't claim ignorance about our finances. She signed a prenup 15 years ago, Sharon explained during a meeting. She waived rights to alimony in the event of adultery. She gets whatever was in her separate accounts plus child support during visitation. How much child support based on her current income? About $200 a month. Melody's current income was zero. Meanwhile, my business was recovering from the slow spell. Word had spread about my situation, and apparently several wives in Charlotte appreciated a man who could handle problems with precision and planning. I had 3 new deck projects lined up through fall. Tyler adjusted better than I'd hoped. His grades stayed solid. He'd made new friends and seemed relieved not to navigate the constant tension our house had held during Melody's affair. Do you miss her? I asked one evening while we worked on a model airplane together. He thought carefully. I missed the mom she was when I was little, before she got so worried about what other people thought. Yeah, buddy. I miss that person too. Jonas's professional downfall was complete and public. The dental board revoked his license for 6 months and placed him on permanent probation. His partnership in the practice dissolved, forcing him to sell his share at a heavy loss. But his personal life imploded even more spectacularly. His college ex-wife, Patricia from Virginia, received an anonymous email containing my entire evidence file. She immediately hired counsel and sued Jonas for retroactive alimony modification, alleging he'd hidden assets during their original divorce. I never admitted to sending that email, but Daryl smiled whenever the topic came up. Patricia won. The judge ordered Jonas to pay 15 years of back alimony plus interest, a sum that effectively claimed everything he'd accumulated since their divorce. His house, his savings, his luxury car, all went to satisfy the judgment. Tracy got the house in their divorce settlement, but Jonas got the debt. Last I heard, he was living in a studio near the airport, working as a dental hygienist for a corporate clinic. His BMW had been repossessed, his country club membership canceled, and his reputation in Charlotte's dental community was radioactive. Melody's fall was less dramatic but equally final. She found work at a call center in South Charlotte, earning $13 an hour answering health insurance customer complaints. Her furnished apartment sat in a complex for people restarting after personal disasters. Tyler's visits became strained as her bitterness deepened. "She keeps asking me if I'm angry at her," he said after a tough weekend. "Like she wants me to be mad so she can feel better about being sad." "What do you tell her?" "That I just want her to be happy again. But I don't think she remembers how." The divorce was finalized on a Thursday in October. Sharon called to tell me the judge had signed the decree, ending my 16-year marriage. I felt nothing. No relief. No sadness. No anger. Just the quiet satisfaction of a job done right. That weekend Tyler and I started building a treehouse in the backyard. The same corner where Melody once said a treehouse would be an eyesore that hurt property values. Tyler designed it himself, sketching platforms and rope ladders with the concentration of an architect. We worked together measuring lumber, checking levels, and planning each step. "This is way better than the stupid mommy picnic," he said, hammering with growing confidence. "Yeah, it is." Spring arrived warm with possibility. The treehouse was nearly finished, just needing railings and a roof. Tyler had shot up 3 inches over winter and developed calluses from helping on projects. My business thrived. Referrals led to bigger jobs, and bigger jobs led to a reputation for quality work and dependable character. I'd hired 2 more guys and bought a second truck. Tyler played Little League and joined the school's robotics club. His confidence grew along with his height. He carried himself with the quiet assurance of a kid who'd survived upheaval and come out stronger. Melody's calls became less frequent and more perfunctory. Holiday visits felt awkward, her attempts at warmth increasingly forced. Tyler was polite but distant, treating her more like a friendly aunt than the woman who'd raised him for 9 years. She asked me if I wanted to live with her. Tyler told me after a visit in April in her 1-room apartment. My stomach tightened. "What did you say?" I asked. "Where do you do your homework?" Her place only has 1 room and the TV is always on because she says the quiet makes her nervous. He shrugged. I told her I liked my room here better. That same week I got a call from Tracy Ellison. I hadn't spoken to her since the picnic disaster, though I'd heard she'd started a successful real estate business and was dating a lawyer from uptown Charlotte. "Evan, I wanted to thank you," she said without preamble. "For what?" "For having the balls to do what needed to be done. I wasted 23 years married to a man who didn't respect me enough to be honest. If you hadn't exposed everything, I might have wasted 23 more." I was replacing a broken deck board, holding my phone with my shoulder. "How are you doing?" "Better than I've been in years." Turns out I was pretty good at hiding my own misery behind all that social organizing. She laughed, and it sounded genuine. "The real estate business is booming. And David, that's the lawyer I'm seeing, actually listens when I talk." "That's great, Tracy. You deserve better than what you had." We all did. Even Melody, though she chose the hard way to learn that lesson. After I hung up, I sat on the back porch watching Tyler practice pitching against the shed wall. His form improved, though he still dropped his shoulder on the follow-through. That evening we worked on the treehouse railings. Tyler had gotten good with a drill. His measurements were nearly always right. "Dad, can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Do you think Mom will ever be normal again?" I considered the question as I threaded a bolt through a bracket. "I think your mom is trying to figure out who she wants to be now that she can't be the person she was pretending to be before." "That sounds complicated." "Yeah, it is. Growing up is complicated, even for grown-ups." He held the bracket steady while I tightened the bolt. "I'm glad you're not complicated." "Oh, buddy. I'm plenty complicated. I just try to keep the complications from affecting you." "Is that why you took all those pictures instead of just yelling at Mom?" "Smart kid." "Part of it. Yelling would have felt good for maybe 5 minutes, but it wouldn't have fixed anything. Planning and documenting fixed everything and embarrassed the bad guys." "Well, natural consequences embarrassed the bad guys. I just made sure the consequences happened." June brought Tyler's 11th birthday and the finished treehouse. We painted it forest green to blend with the oak canopy, and Tyler hung battery-powered lanterns inside for evening reading. The party was small but meaningful. 6 kids from school, pizza from his favorite place, and a sleepover in the new treehouse. I watched from the kitchen window as they told ghost stories and argued about baseball stats. Melody had asked to attend, but Tyler politely declined. "It would make my friends feel weird," he told her on the phone. "But you can take me to dinner next weekend. Just us." She'd cried, but accepted his decision. The next morning, After his friends left, we cleaned the yard together. He'd become methodical about chores, approaching cleanup the same way he did building projects, with a plan and attention to detail. "Dad, I want to show you something in the treehouse," he said after we'd collected the last paper plates. We climbed the rope ladder he insisted on instead of steps. The interior was surprisingly roomy with built-in shelves for books and games, cushions for seating, and windows cut into 3 walls. Tyler pulled out a small wood carving knife I'd given him for Christmas and pointed to a windowsill. "I've been working on this." Carved into the wood in neat block letters were the words Tyler and Dad's place. "I wanted to put something permanent here," he said, "so people know this is ours." I ran my fingers over the carved letters, feeling the slight roughness where the blade had cut the grain. "It's perfect, buddy." We sat in comfortable silence, looking out the treehouse windows at the backyard. The deck I'd built 3 years earlier had weathered to a natural silver gray. The garden Melody started and abandoned was now a thriving vegetable patch that Tyler and I tended together. "Do you think we'll always live here?" he asked. "As long as you want to," I said. "This is home." He leaned against my shoulder, still small enough to fit in the crook of my arm. "Good. I like our life now." Through the window I could see the park where the infamous picnic had been. The pavilion was hosting a graduation party. Different families, different celebrations, different secrets and lies and truths waiting to be discovered. From our treehouse it all looked peaceful and distant, like problems that belonged to other people in other lives. Tyler picked up his book, some fantasy about dragons, and settled into his corner to read. I took out my own book, a biography of a carpenter who built custom furniture for famous writers. The afternoon sun filtered through oak leaves, casting shifting light and shadow across the treehouse floor. Somewhere in the distance a lawn mower hummed and children played in a neighbor's pool. Simple sounds, ordinary moments, the kind of peace that comes after a storm when the debris has been cleared. I opened my book and began to read, my son beside me, the treehouse solid and secure around us both.